Hey, this is Mike Shank, and this is the At Speed podcast presented by Rocky Fork Company.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with yet another very special At Speed podcast with Mike Shank and yours truly, Tim May. And Mike, we're just basically almost moments after the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500. A race won by Takuma Sato of the Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan team.
Sure.
After a duel with Scott Dixon. It was going to be a hell of a finish, it looked like, until the yellow flag came out with five laps left when Spencer Pigot had one of the most dangerous looking crashes I've seen here. Last time I remember a guy hitting that attenuator at the end of the pit wall was Dennis Firestone way back when.
Yeah.
I think my headline that day was Goodyear saves Firestone because it was made by Goodyear.
Yeah.
But anyway, bottom line is you guys end up finishing ninth. You kind of got up into that, with Jack Harvey, you kind of got up into that top 10 area, but kind of got stuck, if that's not the right word. But I mean, there were some tremendous laps being laid down there the last 30 laps of the race.
Yeah, the problem is it is so, we touched on this a few times since we've been here this month. It is so competitive. It is so hard to get anywhere on this grid of people. We knew we had our work cut out for us. We just started too far back. And there was one other person that did a little bit better than us that qualified right ahead of us. But methodically, we worked and we worked and we worked. We had great pit stops all day, really good. We gained positions almost every time. Jack fought people like Ryan Hunter-Ray, Helio Castroneves. He just fought Kanan.
Yeah.
He fought these guys all day. We just lost touch of that top group right at the end by a little bit. We couldn't get the draft back in the time that we had.
Yeah.
But what I like is that I still think we're showing our potential, but our real cash-in hasn't happened yet. And it will when we get back to some regular racing here. I think Jack's learning a lot. I thought it was an exciting race. I thought it was a pretty crash-filled race, actually.
Yes.
I think 6 or 7 cautions, you could correct me. Some of those cautions, 3 of them at least, were pretty brutal accidents, I can tell you, in this car. Some guys got out, thankfully, but were definitely banged up.
And real quick, you never like to see those, but you kind of thought this could happen. But like a couple of drivers pointed out, the thing that's tricky about this year's car is it's either kind of on or it can bite you in a heartbeat. And it looked like, in a couple of, for example, the Oliver Askew crash, where he crashed into the inside wall there at the start of pit entrance. I mean, that was as scary in some ways as the Spencer Pigot crash at the end. And of course, that was a reaction situation.
It was.
Where he was reacting to somebody that happened in front of him. But funny thing about it is when these cars were running, though, people were pretty much taking care of themselves.
Yeah, once we got, listen, we all have to make hay during the restart. Starts and restarts.
Yeah.
That's where everything happens, right? And we had half of ours were good, half of ours were okay. I think we could have been a little bit better on our gearing selection probably to help Jack. I think we needed to be better qualified to help Jack. I think Jack made really good choices today. We knew what we had. We just tried to advance it as much as we could. We decided at some points in the race when we're running P12, P13, I mean, we're moving where we want to go, but you got to decide, are we going to take a big chance here? And I made the decision that I'm okay inside the top 10. I don't need to risk it. We need to put a good finish. We had a good points day today, to be honest with you.
Yes.
I don't know where we're at now, but it's probably around P12 or 13 in the championship, which is a great advancement for us. But we got more coming this year, Tim. I'm telling you, when we get to some, we get the Mid-Ohio coming up hopefully in September, and we got St. Louis next week. But we got some, I think, some good things coming for us, and we want to finish in top 6 or 7 in the championship.
Yeah, let's run a few snippets from some guys I talked to right after the race, including Jack Harvey, including your co-owner, Jim Meyer.
Yep.
Graham Rahal finished 3rd in this race. And, of course, Takuma Sato and a little bit from Bobby Rahal, just because it's a big day for them. Kind of would have been a huge day for Columbus if those guys were still around, weren't?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a great day.
Yeah, but the bottom line is just listen to these guys, and we'll come back with a little bit of wrap-up here, because it's been a long kind of 2 weeks, hasn't it?
Man, I'll tell you, we're ready to go home.
All right, we'll be right back.
Simply an amazing day. I just can't put in one word for it. But big thank you to everyone, obviously the Speedway, Roger Penske, and of course the Holman George family made this race and get this race going this year. I know it's a lot of people's commitment, but we really appreciate it, and so happy to be part of this organization. And first of all, I mean, what an amazing team Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing is. I know it's every single team and every single driver of the dream to win a 500. By achieving a 1-3 in this fashion is just simply amazing. And can't thank enough to Bobby, Mike Lanigan, and of course David Letterman and the entire team, especially for the 30 boys. My Panasonic Triple Ready Honda was extremely strong and competitive. So it was a little bit tough on the last few laps before getting a yellow, because we read the race a little too long, and then we had to dive into the pit one lap before the Scott and rest of the people perhaps. That put us a lot of difficulty in terms of the fuel mileage. I wanted to go to the full power, which Honda on HP to give us an incredible performance, but still I had to save the fuel, so I was back and forth with the Reno mixture and best power when Dixie was coming, and pull off like that way. It is just simply amazing. I want to say thank you so much for everyone for the support.
You know, Takuma, hey, two-time winner of the Indy 500. There aren't many of those guys out there, and I don't care what you say. You know, in 17 when he won, you know, I don't think anybody can say he won that one by a fluke or anything. You know, he drove around. Was it? Can't think. Penske car, right?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank too. Yeah.
And just managed to drive beautifully and win the race. So the guy, I think the guy deserves to be highly respected for his abilities, particularly on the oval. At a place like Indianapolis kind of suits his skills because he's very smooth. Obviously, he's quite brave, but he really has good feel, and I think that really works well at a place like Indy. A year ago, May, we set, made the commitment to strengthen our engineering group and make the investments in R&D, and I think this month here in August at Indy, I think it showed it with qualifying, and then of course today in the race, having two cars in the top three.
What I've grown accustomed to over the last half a dozen years or so is sort of top third or midfield qualifying, and then you turn Graham loose toward the end of the race, and he hunts people down and passes them like a crazy man. And the thing that has become obvious, I think Bobby alluded to talking with somebody else, the engineering improvements, whereby the qualifying is better, consistently better, and gives him a better shot at the final hunt. And if that's not obvious, if I notice it, it's got to be something to it. And I just want to thank Graham and the teams and the people who actually work and put this operation together. It's an amazing thing to witness and to be a part of, and I'm very grateful to them all.
Huge day, huge day for our program. Clearly we'd like the roles to be reversed, but we're extremely proud of Takuma and the job that the 30 car did. They were fast all month, or all couple weeks. And just a heck of a day for the 15. Very proud of the United Reynolds guys. Not only did we pass cars on track and have a car good enough to do that, but in the pits, they were lightning in the pits today. And these are a group of guys that have been kicked pretty hard in the past, been told their stops are slow and everything else, and they proved everybody wrong today. So I'm very proud of them. I hope Spencer's okay. That's what's weighing probably heaviest on my heart right now. I don't know where he's at, but I do know that that's a hell of a lick. So I hope he's okay.
The fact y'all didn't red flag this race wasn't red flag. You don't do that here, right? Or?
We don't do that. It's not. There's no gimmicks. There's no gimmicks in winning the Indy 500. It is what it is. You win it fair and square. If a yellow comes out, Dario Franchitti never won a race under green here. If a yellow comes out, that's part of it. That's name and game. That's just what we do.
I mean, you want to win this race, but ninth was a pretty good run today. Just what's your takeaway, just in a nutshell?
I think for us it was a really good day. Starting 20, you kind of hope the strategy was just to try and chip a few spots every time, and I think we did that. I thought we had a pretty fast car. I don't think we had a car capable of winning.
Yeah.
But I think we had a car of where we finished is where I thought we were going to qualify. So then, we'll wait and see again next year and give it another go. But I'm really happy for everybody at Meyer Shank Racing. The guys on pit lane absolutely destroyed it when it came to pit stops, and they helped for sure leapfrog us a couple of stops. And without alternation in Sirius XM, we wouldn't be here in the first place. So naturally, really happy for everybody involved. And we've had 3 top 10s on the bounce, and really, out of 7 races now, I feel like we could have been there 6 times. So we've got good momentum, we've got a great team, and just going to keep it going.
What is it like though in the middle of this race when you kind of figure out maybe you don't have that horse to get all the way to the front? You know what I mean? But do you start?
You're always hopeful.
What?
You're always hopeful.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
You never know exactly like what's going to happen and how it's going to change, and who knows what's going to happen when. So we stay optimistic the whole time.
Day for Meyer Shank Racing. Jack did a hell of a job. We really came here, thought we had a top 10 car, to have a top 10 finish. We're just really satisfied.
You're sneaking up on him now, right? Number 9.
We're sneaking up.
What, in your opinion, what does this kind of do for this team from an elevation standpoint?
Jack knows he belongs at this level, and he knows he's good enough to beat anybody out here.
Thanks, Jim. One of the most interesting things Jim Meyer said in our little conversation was Jack Harvey proved he belongs here today.
Yeah.
Y'all proved you belong here. I think everybody always knew that about you guys and about Jack, but a top 10 finish in the Indy 500 does show promise, right? I mean, this was a hell of a field.
It shows promise. We're all happy. And I said if we could get in the top 10, I said it to you, we'd be happy. But it's always tough when you get up there. You're like, okay, can we do better? And we could have. I think we could finish 5th or 6th. I think pretty easily. But we just gotta be cool and keep working on the car and the team communication, which is getting better. Our pit stops were fantastic today.
They were. I watched every one of them from my perch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it looked pretty good.
Oh, that was smooth as heck. I don't remember a real bobble. I mean, some of the other guys did have bobbles.
Yeah. We were happy. We advanced almost every single time. We had 6 or 7 today, I think.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of positives. We just keep. It's like everything we've done in this IndyCar program, Tim. It's a step. It's Indy 500 only, and then it's 6 races, and then it's 10 races, and it's just this building process that I'm not super patient and a little OCD. It's tough sometimes, but we're going the right direction.
This is your life, man. This is what you live for. How odd, strange was it at the end for there not to be people at the beginning during the ceremonies, and at the end for there not to be people in the stands as we.
It's ridiculous. It's totally foreign and weird, and I can tell you that I am so looking forward to next May when everyone shows up here again for the Grand Prix and the IndyCar in the Indy 500. I'll be looking forward to it, and I think we're going to have an appetite for this race that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a turnout of all turnouts next year, and I hope we do. And I'll do everything I can to make sure we do that. I want people to be back inside the Speedway. I want to interact with them. I want to talk to them when I'm on my way out to the pit box. We really miss that stuff.
And last thing, I told you about I asked you what does this do for our team and stuff. But let's get back to the one little thing we talked about in our pre-race show. There comes a moment when you have to make that call. Do we kind of go off schedule, try to shake things up? And we talked about that.
Yeah.
You opted today. Hey, this is a top 10 car. I think I'm just getting in your brain.
Yeah.
The last 80 laps, you opted to pretty much play with the front runners.
Yeah.
Pit when they do, etc. How gut wrenching is that? How guttural does that?
It wasn't that bad because we had already role played this thing. We already said that if we're 15th or 16th, we're going to do something off strategy.
Yeah.
But if we're around the top 10, we're going to tighten up, and that's what we did. We did exactly what we said we're going to do. Every time we come here, we just learn a little something more. We make notes. We try to understand why we did something. Was it the right thing to do? I can think of a couple things right away. Maybe gearing, maybe things to help Jack on the restart. Of course, we need to make sure our car is fast for qualifying. It really showed today that predominantly the guys that ran up front started up front.
Yes.
For the most part.
Yeah.
I think the Dale Coyne cars were really good today. Palou showed it. Ferrucci showed it. Those are probably the 2 fastest cars I saw out there. They just weren't positioned exactly correct. When you're Dixon and you start out front, you're never giving that up.
Yeah.
But you got beat at the end.
Hey, real quick, as you look back on that, they opted to let Takuma by is the right thing, but everybody was kind of trying to save fuel a little bit, and then they gave Dixon the leash and let him go. But Takuma had the lead, and it was like,
Well,
I mean, you think Mike Hull and those guys will sit back and second guess that a little bit?
yeah, they will, because we're all the Hondas were going the same. We were all on the same strategy. The top 10 guys were all on the same stuff, right?
Yeah.
And we're all playing with the different options we have through the Honda program with the engine, right?
Yeah.
And when you take power away, you take fuel mileage. You know, you gain fuel mileage, but you take power, right?
Yeah.
So we're all playing with that, and we're mixing it up. We were changing mixtures, you know, a lot during the lap just to try to make the optimum out of it. In our case, we were trying to catch Colton and keep away from Brian Hunter Ray. In their case, you know, they had to figure, you know, at one, and I could see it, you know, the minute they released them, but then, of course, what happened.
Yeah, you never know what's coming around the corner.
Yeah.
Last thing, you guys move on now to Gateway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know,
Yeah, like this.
so much for the cheering, right?
Yeah.
And just, what's your sense of going into Gateway? From an
Totally
oval
unknown.
standpoint, yeah.
I haven't been there. Jack hasn't been there. Nobody's been, you know, very few people, you know, I guess the veterans have been there. But so
Yeah.
we'll get a practice session on next Friday night, and we'll get to a half an hour by ourselves, and then the whole field comes in, and it's just like Iowa for us. So I'm nervous for sure, but if it's like anything else, we've had some good runs on ovals here, and we want to keep it up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Mike Shank. I'm Tim May. That's the At-Speed Podcast, post Indy 500 edition. We thank you for joining us, and keep following us here on the At-Speed Podcast. And until we're back, Mike, we'll see you then.
Absolutely.